With everything going on right now, with the protests, with the pandemic, it can seem to artists that your art is not important, that it's kind of unnecessary, that it's extra. I saw something on Twitter. Somebody reposted an article, I think put out by the Times, if I'm not mistaken, that basically said that people voted artists as one of the least, as I think the least most important job right now during a crisis, during the pandemic and the revolution that's taking place. And I thought that was funny, one, because the person pointed out who reposted it was like, well, it was an infographic. And it was like, well, you needed an artist to make this infographic, right? And it really is almost surprising to me that people still devalue artists and what they contribute to society. Recently, I got into an argument with this gentleman. We were debating about the oppression that Black people face in this country. And he wanted to tell me, he was a white gentleman, he wanted to tell me that because I'm an artist, I don't know what it's like to be oppressed, that I have no idea what it's like to be oppressed, that I'm in a first world country as an artist, and that I should shut up about the oppression of Black people because I don't face it because I'm an artist. Okay. Besides the fact that that's totally wrong, because artists have always been a part of the revolution. Even if you look at the history of America, someone had to write the song, the Star Spangled Banner, with the lyrics about the war that was happening, right? The rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air. That was an artist, but they saw themselves as an oppressed people gaining freedom, right? And literally all an artist is someone who creates something. So why are we pretending that artists don't suffer, that artists don't face oppression when there are like millions, I'm sure, because I believe that everybody's creative, but that's a whole other conversation. But there are so many artists out there that have painted the pictures from revolutions, that have written poetry, songs, books, just provided so much so people can remember what's really happening in real time, but also later on when they look back in history. To devalue art is so, to me, offensive. It is so offensive. It is so demeaning because we consume art all the time. The phone that you're using, an artist had to make it. They had to make it appealing to you. The person who made the graphic for the chart that I'm even talking about, the music you listen to, the movies, the pictures you watch, the people that are out there taking photos of these marches, of these revolutions and things like that. Those are artists. And for you to discount their importance is, to me, amazing. It's amazing. But on a deeper level, as a Black woman, I realize that art and storytelling is a major part of the revolution, whatever revolution, again, if we didn't have the real accounts from the people who were there, if we didn't have like paintings and stuff, we would have to imagine what this stuff looked like. And now, thank God, today, everybody has a camera, right, on their phone for the most part. And now we're able to see stuff happening in real time. And so I say this because a lot of people discount artists in general, but I also count it as a privilege, though I don't agree with that gentleman at all about the fact that because I'm a Black woman artist who is full-time in her artistry, that I don't face oppression. That doesn't make any sense. That's unfounded. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's coming across as if like I have some sort of trust fund or something, or like some sponsorship that I can just like live life and be free of oppression. But oppression is not just economic. Like, yes, I do suffer with economic oppression for sure, just like many Black people. But I also just face oppression because of the fact that I'm Black and I'm a woman in America. And so I challenge that man. Because I'm like, then do you agree that sexism exists, that colorism exists? Because if not, then that's a whole, like, you're coming from a whole different lane, and what you're saying is not going to be making any sense to anybody. But anywho, getting back on track. Even though I know that as a Black woman in America, I do face oppression that other people do not face. I also understand the privilege that I carry that my grandmother didn't carry, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother did not carry. I look at history and I hear about and I read about my ancestors. I see it with my own eyes, about all the things they created, the blankets that their masters slept in, the music they created, how they were artisans, how they woodworked, so many things, how they cultivated and grew crops and took care of the fields, right? These were the creators. These were the artists, right? But they never had an opportunity to enjoy their art. They created wonderful things and never got paid for it, never got credit. They were looked at as machines, as property, as animals even. And it's so horrible to me that this relationship with art has been so broken. You know, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to gather my thoughts. It's just so amazing to me that this idea of like supply and demand, even when it comes to our art, is so pressed upon us. Like, so as an artist, sometimes I feel like my art doesn't matter if it's not making money. And where does that mindset come from? My ancestors were made to believe that everything they produced had to bring in money, had to be super productive. That's why I'm against hustle culture, because a lot of people who are either not from this country or Black, their parents hustle and they're still broke. So that's a whole other conversation, right? So I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. But what I'm trying to say is, as an artist in America, as a Black woman in 2020, I have a privilege that my people before me did not. And so me sitting up here wrestling with imposter syndrome, me sitting up here wrestling with, oh, I'm not good enough, or, like, oh, well, if I'm not making money, then it doesn't matter. It's a slap in the face to my ancestors. In my opinion, art is a part of the revolution. Storytelling is a part of the revolution. I get to sit here on YouTube, on my podcast, and talk about things that my ancestors could not talk about. Like, in a big setting, with a lot of people. Not that a lot of people watch my channel, listen to my podcast, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I can freely talk about whatever I want to talk about. I can share my opinions. I can share the voices and experiences of other Black people. I plan to use my platform to bring other people up with me. I plan to use the privilege that I do have as a Black woman in 2020 to use my art to tell the stories of people, and also to encourage other people, inspire other people to tell their story and to see themselves as worthy. As in a country where everything is about, again, like I said, supply and demand, about being super productive and like hustling and getting as much as you can, and your worth being rooted in what you create, it can be really jarring for you to change that mindset to like, no, I'm worthy because I am, because I exist, because God created me, right? And then anything I do on top of that is plus. It's like is awesome. And why can't we enjoy art for the sake of enjoying it? Why can't we? I wanted to apply for an artist residency. I didn't really get it, but they were asking me how this residency would help me in my artistry. And I explained to them, nobody in my family has had the opportunity to really just sit still, to rest, and to really pursue something they just wanted to try and wanted to do for the sake of creating it and for the sake of joy. I feel like we try to find little pockets of joy here and there, but really we're focused on money. It's about money. It's about being productive. It's about paying the bills. It's about making it to the next week or to the next paycheck or whatever. It's never really from a place of rest and like trust. It's always from this place of insecurity. Like, I don't know when my next paycheck is coming from. You know what I'm saying? And so having a time and a place and a space to really hone in on my craft, to be able to create something from my heart and not something that has to make money, that would be an honor. That would be an honor. There are so many artists out there who have sponsors, who have patrons. And we say this like, oh, it's a bad thing. People have been patrons of artists for a long time. Whether you buy their music, their furniture, whatever, you're a patron of that artist. And back in the day, sometimes, like, in other countries, they would pay artists. They would literally give money to artists to create art. No, like nothing tied to it, just to create art. How amazing would that be? And while I wasn't asking for money, I was just asking for a place. I also understand that a lot of people don't just have places to practice their art. You might grow a garden here or there, or a plant here or there. Like I said, finding pockets of creativity and joy. But it's really hard to be able to focus as an artist. When you go to art school, people, oh, that's a waste of money. And while I don't agree that you should go to art school because it is a lot of money, I do believe that people should be able to pursue their art for the joy of it, for the sake of it. And we should stop putting all this pressure on artists to make money. Yes, you have to be productive. Yes, you have to be a member of society. But it's like, if you consume their art, if you enjoy it, they are being a member of the society. They are putting in something. Then that something has worth, that has wealth. When you listen to music, you drive a car, you go to a garden, you shop organic. Like, these people are artists. These people are creating the food that you eat. Art is everywhere, and as a Black woman artist in America, as I keep saying, I know that my art is a part of the revolution, and I'm not going to allow someone to sit there and tell me that my art has no worth, has no meaning, has no value. It doesn't give anything to anybody, because that's not true. Even as I sit here and talk about this, it gives something for me. And that's enough. Why can't that be enough, right? Why do Black artists always have to shoulder the burden of everybody else? We've been shouldering everybody's burdens. And that's why, even when you talk about Black Lives Matter, or what's going on today, even if you don't want to talk about the organization Black Lives Matter, to me, it goes so much deeper than police brutality. We're ingrained to think that the only way that we'll have wealth is if we're bringing in money, if people say that we're valuable, or we're doing something beneficial for somebody else, right? And I think that sometimes just being is beneficial for someone else. Being honest, being authentic, showing up, trying, creating, that is beneficial to somebody else, even if it doesn't bring any money. Now, on the other hand, yes, we do need to make some money because we have to survive. That's just the world that we live in. But I just want to encourage you. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. But I just want to encourage you that your stories need to be told. Your art needs to be made. Your voices need to be heard. Your faces need to be seen. What's going on needs to be documented. And all of that is done by artists. And everyone in their own right is creative. If you teaching your kids how to, make sense of math problems, like everybody's been teaching lately because no kids are in school, you're creative. You have to creatively think of how to make this work for your kids. Or if your kid is like, I'm not eating vegetables, you have to figure out a creative way to make them eat vegetables, even if it's giving them consequences. If you don't eat this vegetable, you're not eating dessert, you know what I'm saying? Or you're not getting up from the table. That's creative thinking. Like, Black people have been creative, had to been creative for years. You look at, if you want to go back to slavery, no, we couldn't eat the food that we grew and that we slaughtered and we prepared and, cooked and all this other stuff. No, we couldn't eat that. But we took those scraps and made a feast. You know what I'm saying? Like a feast. And yes, while some of that food is not necessarily the healthiest, even when we see it today on the tables, it's reverencing the survival and the creativity of our people, especially as Black women. Like, and I say that as a Black woman. I'm not discounting Black men at all, but that's just my experience. I'm a Black woman. And yes, I just don't want you to get lost in all of this to say like, oh, my art doesn't matter. I don't matter. If I'm not out there, like this idea that if you're not out there storming the streets, if you're not, leading protests and all this other stuff, creating art is a part of that protest. Creating stories is a part of that protest. Writing the stuff that God gives you to write, making the music God gives you to make, teaching the classes, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is a part of the protest. That goes a long way too. And I know it's really hard because not that all of it is performative, but like a lot of times you see what's going on and you think you're not doing enough. And I just want to encourage you and say that just keep doing. And that's doing enough. Showing up how you can in the sphere of influence that you have, like that is enough. And that's basically my message for today. For any Black artists that out there that feel like, oh, my art doesn't matter during COVID, my art doesn't matter during the protests, And again, the art doesn't even have to be explicitly about those things. People need escapes too. Like people, I don't want to watch the news all day long. I don't want to, like watch CNN all day. I don't want to watch the death toll climb. I don't need that all the time. Sometimes I need an escape, and I want an escape with people who look like me, people who are brown and Black, and people who have kinky hair like I do. Like, I want to see those stories. You know what I'm saying? So you're important. That's the whole point. You're important. You matter. Your story, your art is a part of the revolution, and please do not stop creating it. You're being there for your children. You being there for your husband, for your friends. That is a part of the revolution. No part is too small. No part gets lost. Every part matters. Every role played matters. And yeah, so that's that's part of why I even started this this project, the Free Black Woman, because I wanted to get Black women's stories out there from all different sides, from all different beliefs, from all different, just to give the lens that women are multifaceted. Black women are multifaceted. We're not just one thing. We're not a stereotype. We're not something you can ball into a ball and fit in your pocket. No, we are multifaceted, and we are amazing. And I wanted to tell those stories. And so that's why I created this. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was encouraging. Even if you're not a Black woman, your art matters. You matter. And I will talk to you guys later. Okay? Bye-bye.